Hey everybody, Jake here from Bearded Gear, and I'm going to do my first impressions on this guy. This is the Alliance Designs Mini Slim Pickins that I just picked up a couple of days ago. And when I unboxed it, I talked about how I was planning to pull out the secondary detent. I have not done that yet. I've only carried this knife once for a whole day, and I left the secondary detent in. After I finish talking about my first impressions, I'm going to switch the camera angle to kind of an overhead tabletop thing. I've got my work mat sitting here, and I'm going to pull that secondary detent out because I want it gone. This knife, if there was no way to pull out the secondary detent, I'd probably still like it quite a bit. Let me say that right up front. But I am confident I'm going to like it more without that in there. So I'm excited to take it out and see if it kind of elevates how much I'm enjoying this knife. So this version of the Mini Slim Pickins from Alliance Designs is the KnightRider edition. I believe it's like kit from KnightRider is kind of what they were going for. If I'm honest, I kind of get the reference, like I know what that is, but I didn't like watch that personally. Like I might have seen bits and pieces of reruns or something, but I wasn't into KnightRider. So I was mostly drawn to it because I think it looks like a really, really cool spec. The like reference is kind of lost on me to a certain degree, but it looks awesome being all black PVD, everything except for the hardware being this really nice satin finish. And then it's got these really cool red G10 pivot collars and a red backspacer. So everything is murdered out black except for these like pops of satin and a couple of little pops of red. I think it looks really cool. When I looked the other night, these were actually still available on Knife Center. It was a Knife Center exclusive, so for this version, that was the only place you could buy it, and there were some left. I don't know if that's still the case. If I see that they are when this video goes live, I'll link them down below. I'm not going to update that link in perpetuity, so if they get sold out when you check it, I'm sorry. But it's pretty cool. So I'll also link down below to Alliance Designs. I think they're a pretty cool company. They've come out with a few things that are interesting. I haven't really checked out much of their stuff yet, but I did have, for a minute, I had the collaboration they did with CMF Metalworks. The clip on that knife frankly ruined it for me. I really wanted to love that knife so much, and I loved so much about it, but the clip was not cool with me. This clip is fine. We'll talk about that. But yeah, I think they do some pretty cool stuff over there, and they've caught my eye more than once, so I'll link to them down below. If you're not familiar, check them out. Yeah, so let's talk first impressions on this guy. I won't go super deep because I'll obviously be pulling the secondary detent out and then carrying it and using it a whole lot more, and then there will be a full review. But so far, I like the size of this guy. This is obviously being the Mini Slim Pickins. It's a smaller version of the Slim Pickins. I haven't handled the full-size one. I've heard a lot of good things about that knife. When it came out, the Slim Pickins that is, one of the things I heard a lot of people rave about on it was the sounds that it made. And then on this one, I've heard people say the same thing, and I am pleased to report that, I'll do a little ASMR here, the tactile clicks that this knife makes, especially when I'm closing it. Listen to this. It's a really cool, like, acoustic experience opening and closing this knife. It just has this really satisfying, not only is the action satisfying, like on deployment, this thing flies open, it feels great, but the sound it makes when it locks up, and then the sound it makes when you close it, it sounds really cool, and it adds to how nice it feels to play with it. So I really like that. I think acoustics are kind of understated. Like, they're more important on knives for collectors and people like me, at least, than a lot of people give credit for. I don't know. But it sounds really, really cool. The size of it, I find myself a lot of the time choking up to here because there's this really nice flat. There's a little bit of a choil here, but that doesn't feel so much like a finger choil as a sharpening choil to me. But this flat is really comfortable. So I put 3 fingers back here, 1 finger up here. My thumb lands kind of right on the jimping. It feels nice in a saber grip. This is a comfortable knife to hold on to and use. I carried it for a whole day as a secondary. It was comfortable in pocket. It's not overly heavy. It's a titanium construction. It's relatively small. The clip feels great in hand, I'll say. I don't prefer clips that don't carry deep. I should say I do prefer clips that do carry deep. I want my clip to disappear the knife completely in my pocket. This does not do that. If you look at how It's already a milled clip that's sitting down below the end of the knife, but it's also got a lot of kind of meat where the clip actually starts to hook. So you've got like that much knife sticking out of your pocket on, frankly, a pretty small knife. So I would love it if this knife was way more deep carry, but not everybody needs a knife to be deep carry, and it is what it is. It doesn't ruin a knife for me when it's not, but I would love it if it was. Action, super fun on deployment. I'm hoping it gets a lot more fun on closure. Part of why I'm going to be pulling the secondary detent out of this is because I didn't grab one, but knives like the ProTech Malibu or the ProTech Mordax, which I have both of, if you press the button, this is a button lock, right? If I depress this button on a Malibu and I'm holding it like this, I'm depressing it right now, pressing it all the way in. Nothing is happening here, right? Not a thing. If I do that on the Malibu, it's going to free drop all the way in and lock up. That should, in theory, just be because of the secondary detent on here. And I think they do that for legality, places where you're not supposed to have gravity knives and stuff. But like, yeah, if I depress this button here as well, I can't really fling the knife out. I think that's the other side of it, right? On a Malibu or a Mordax, if I press the button and swing it, it's just going to swing right open. And then I can hold that button and this will just, you know, it'll pendulum back and forth. Here there's resistance the whole way. And I think that's just the secondary detent. The Spyderco smock is built like this, where it has a secondary detent in it. And when I got my smock, I knew that was a thing. I had already seen a video of somebody else pulling their second detent out. And so I opened my smock. This is way before I had my channel. And I flicked it like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times and felt how it was to close it. And then I got my tools out, I ripped it apart, I pulled the secondary detent out, put that in a little baggie, put it in a drawer, and I never touched the secondary detent, was not tempted one time to put it back in the knife. And then when I sold the knife, I asked the guy, I was like, I have the secondary detent for it, do you want me to reinstall it for you? And he's like, no, I don't want that in there. So yeah, I'm assuming it's kind of a legality thing, that this would be maybe considered a gravity knife in a lot of places if it didn't have the secondary detent, so maybe that's why they're doing it. But I'm hoping this is like the smock in the sense that when I get it out, it'll all of a sudden be real fluid to drop shut and all that good stuff. So we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over here in a second. I don't think there's much else I need to say first impressions wise. I think the knife looks really cool. It's carried pretty good other than the clip. Feels good in hand. I've done a little bit of cutting with it so far. This blade has actually been quite excellent. It's a nice tall hollow grind, so it's nice and thin behind the edge. In fact, quite thin. It's got a tip that's usable, especially for being kind of a warny or sheep's foot type of thing. I've been impressed with it. I'm liking this knife a lot. Even if it didn't change at all, I'd still be liking this knife, but I'm excited to see if it gets even better here. So we're going to go ahead and flip the camera, and yeah, we'll pull the second detent out and see if it gets any better. Anyways, here we go. All right, so we have flipped to the tabletop. I'm going to go ahead and start busting this knife apart. I was taking a look at it. I believe we're T8 and T6 and T6. There's obviously just an internal clip screw, so I'll probably not even touch that once the knife is apart. T8, T6, T6 again here. If my naked eye is correct, let's confirm that real quick. Yep, that's a T8. And if I get it in, oh, that might be a T8 too. Oh, that's T8 as well. Great. So I need one tool for this whole knife. At least so far. Maybe inside I'll find I need something else, but that's cool that it's all T8s here. Let's actually look inside real quick. So I was taking a look, yeah, and the component I need to get to where that secondary detent is housed, it's actually on a little arm. You'll see when the knife is open, but it's on the show side. The lock side has a bunch of internal milling, both sides do. But yeah, I might even just get away with pulling off just the show side. So I'll see if that works. I don't know yet how this pivot is set up internally. It might want a free spin too. Feels like it's gonna want a free spin. Yeah, that's spinning on both sides. So I'm gonna need a second tool to handle that, which means I need another T8 and my driver. is what it is. I wish all pivots were captive, but can't have everything in this world. Let's go ahead. Alright, let's see. Alright, it's looking like I'm getting just the show side pivot out. Great. There was a little bit of blue Loctite kind of residue on there. I didn't grab my Loctite, so we're going to not Loctite this at the moment, but I may sometime in the future, if it starts wandering on me, end up Loctiting it. There's the pivot collar. Pretty simple little red G10 guy there. So yeah, we're going to see if I can leave that where it is. Let's go ahead and get this pulled off of here. I'm going to be real careful to not accidentally run my driver up against the PVD coating on here. I'd really rather not scratch that off. Why do these feel like they're not all the way out? There we go, there's one. Come on. There we go. All right, those are both out. Sweet, that popped right off. I imagine I'm gonna have to be a little bit careful. There's a coil spring in here which sets, let's see if I can show this to you. There's a little pocket. I'll just show you how it works. This coil spring goes into this pocket on here, and that's what holds this button and gives it the pressure that it needs in there to function. It also works as the stop pin, it seems like, which is kind of cool. What is that little spot? That seems like that's where a stop pin would go. Did I lose a stop pin? Oh, the stop pin's still stuck on this side. We're good, crisis averted. That's the actual stop pin. So the button is not the stop pin. I'm an idiot. Anyway, this is the secondary detent. That is our culprit there. I guess it's really just one detent kind of at the end of the day, because the button kind of functions as the detent for deployment. So this detent is just what adds pressure to it all along the way. So I don't know how to best describe that. Hopefully you can figure out what I'm trying to say. These might be T6s. They are. So internally we've got T6s for this guy. It's nice too that it's on an arm. Like I said, I think earlier, the one in the smock was just a little ball and a spring, and it would have been kind of a bummer to try to put back in. So I like that this should now just pop right out of here. Right. Both of those screws are out. Let's see if I can get a fingernail under here. Oh man, that's tight in there. Oh, there we go. It's coming out. Nice. So now it just leaves a little bit of a notch. See if I can get the lighting where you can see that. Not too crazy, but it was there. Now it is not. So we'll get the knife put back together without it and see how that ends up making it feel. Let's put this right here, I guess. What keeps that from flying out of the knife? I am a little bit confused at the moment how this all ends up working, but we're just gonna see what happens. So I should, I guess, put this back on here. Come on. That's D-shaped at all? No, it's pretty even circle. bearings and everything where they ought to be. There we go. All right, so it seems like the blade is actually what keeps this. Yeah, okay, that's what keeps it from ever being able to pop out. Let's see if I can get this just right. Sorry, this might not be the easiest thing to look at, but this is a seemingly delicate fit. Oh crap. Yeah, one of my washers moved. Okay. Put that pin back in. I'm on the struggle bus here tonight, my friends. There we go. There we go. All right. I am going to put this pivot back in before I change anything. Enough to at least hold the knife together, because I feel like I'm flirting with disaster here if I let this go. This spring pressure under the button is making it interesting for me, to say the least. Okay, that's together for the moment. Yes. Okay. Maybe let's close it. You know what? I'm going to put at least one body screw in too, just to keep everything, again, together for the moment. I'm sure there's somebody who's probably done this and made it look super easy, and I'm looking like an idiot right now, but just flying by the seat of my pants here. There we go, that's it. All right, so now the knife is somewhat held together, not centered or anything, as I would expect for the moment. So let's get this into the pivot on that side, this into the pivot on this side, torque this down a little. Okay, we're actually kind of centered there. Let's throw this other body screw in. That's like not threading. Oh, there we go. That was just a little bit off on my angle. This one, make sure tight there. I can go back through and tighten everything down, but we're basically centered. Let's see. Ooh, okay. Yeah, look at that. Oh, yes. That is exactly what I wanted to happen. And I didn't scuff anything. I didn't scratch anything. We are back together. We are, I might be able to get the tiniest bit more centered. Let's see. I'm gonna need one on both sides again. At least for being a free spinning pivot, there's a tool spot on each side. It's the worst when it's free spinning and there's only a tool spot on one side. Oh yes, that feels good. All right, so the knife is back together, and now see if I can show it better. Yeah, it drops. I'm obviously not even holding it vertical here because I'm trying to do it so the camera can see. In fact, I'll flip back around. we'll show you when I can be in my more comfortable spot here again. 1 second. All right, so in conclusion, this already got way better. Look at this. If I deploy it, deploys excellent. That detent is still great for deploying the knife, and then that now drops. Still makes awesome sounds. So it's doing everything that I liked that it did, but now it's doing it better. And look at that. I might even drip some more KPL in there, just because everything got a little hairy while it was going back together. Some of that might have smeared around in some weird ways, so yeah, I'll probably drip a little bit down into there. But now I can do that, and that's a big improvement. So that was the right call, in my opinion, and I'm just going to save that little piece that came out, keep it in a baggie, and then if I ever let go of the knife, I'll have it for the next owner. But that was pretty simple. The biggest hurdle, obviously, was dealing with that button pressure while getting everything lined up, but I'm not a pro, not even close to it, at doing knife disassemblies and maintenance and stuff, so the fact that I was able to do it with my untrained hands, it's probably pretty doable for the average person as well. In fact, I am the average person, I would say, so the average person just did it. Anyway, this is cool now. Well, it was already cool. It's cooler now. Extra cool. Super cool. Anyways, full review coming soon. Thanks, guys. We'll see you on the next one.